Hello, everybody. This is our first of hopefully several roundtable discussions around the implementation of the next generation standard. So our first one, like we talked about in our organizing meeting, is about how folks have been using the roadmap. And I thought it might be good to start off with just a quick example that we worked on actually earlier today, and to show you one of the things that we've just added into the website. So hopefully everybody can see the screen, and this is under the utilizing resources. So if we go back out from the beginning, under phase 1, goal 2, and utilizing resources, we've added one in here, a choice board that was developed by Erie 2, some folks at Erie 2, and we've got it in here along with the description of what it is. I'll show you in a second, and then Erica, you can jump in too. Erica was on our webinar about it. Contact information.
Hi, hello.
Hello. And contact information for folks, and then also the webinar where basically I interviewed Liz, Allison, and Erica about this tool that they developed, and the tool is available, the webinar is available, and so is the contact information. So just as a quick teaser here, this is the choice board that they developed, which I think is it's pretty solid, Erica. You guys did a nice job with that. So basically what they did was they developed activities at different entry points for administrators to use with teachers, and I would say even with other administrators, around getting into some of the different documents associated with the standards rollout, and some opportunities for people to share information, and really a bunch of different templates and protocols in here. Erica, anything to add on that?
Sure. So the purpose, I guess, around it was we knew, so this started in our internal policies, and we have, we're pretty big, and we have a lot of new administrators. So the idea that they could still be instructional leaders at their site, yet do this work, was really key into the why behind the choice board. And so giving them tools that they were empowered with, that they necessarily didn't have to know all the content themselves, but a lot of them appreciated the videos, because videos give you pretty much intro. So if they're, not reading all the video, sums it up really nice. And then those activities they can use in regards to protocols as things. So this was the sections that they had to cover. So the principals and supervisors were able to use this, create their own agenda, yet still hit the target of building that awareness. The deliverables are great. Unfortunately, we can't necessarily do some of the things that our sites did, but they varied anything from pictures to just a summary of what occurred and what learning they took away. And then it was a way to go back. So in our March superintendent today, they're going to come back to this document and take a look if they need to go further and move up the range from beginner, intermediate, and mastery. This is all still there, and it's a living document. And so we've offered to share this with our 27 component districts as well. We know one of them has attempted to use that, and that has gone really great. For them, what we find in our district is they're struggling to get all of this information in one easy way. So this board does that for them.
And there was that was perfect, I think. Do you remember where they dug in and where Liz went and showed us the how they had altered the stuff from the state? Do you remember which one that was in?
Are you talking about, oh yeah, the Chalk Talk. So all of those protocols, I believe most of them, maybe some are a little altered. Well, most of them are altered. These are all protocols from Engage New York. And so the hope was that if teachers are utilizing the protocols from that site in their classroom, it is also modeled in regards to professional development and learning, new learning. So not only was it available for the administrators to utilize in their own learning, but the teachers use this as well. And then the hope is that obviously you can use this protocol in your classroom.
Well, and I think one of the things that they did that was nice was they took what was on Engage New York and then modified it, and I would say improved it, you know, including some images and really going a little bit deeper on there. So your folks did a great job, Eric. We appreciate you sharing it.
Yeah, you're welcome. They did do a great job. We're really lucky to have them.
Does anybody have any questions around this particular tool as a place to start? And then maybe we can branch out into other things that folks are doing and maybe would be willing to share in this kind of format. And so, you know, the way it worked was, and Erica was on the call when we did it earlier today, was basically I just did a WebEx and pretty much interviewed Erica's folks about this, and they walked through it and told how they used it and gave some pointers and stuff, and that was it. I think when I edited down the video, it's maybe like 10 or 12 minutes. So I think that's kind of I'll be interested to see what people think in terms of its usefulness, but it's pretty low impact, I would say, from the perspective of your folks who have already developed things that they're using. So it's not extra work really on their part or your part. So any questions around this before we open it up? All right, so why don't we dig a little deeper? Anybody, and again, I just kind of put it out there, our topic is you know, how folks are using the roadmap, or maybe even activities or things that you're doing associated with the roadmap. Who'd like to start? Don't all jump.
There it goes. Oh, okay.
No, nobody? All right. Has anybody?
I can jump in, Mike. It's Erica again.
Okay, great.
I know that we've, when we discussed this regionally, a lot of our component districts are just still struggling to make the roadmap come alive. And I hear a lot in our curriculum council, okay, so we're building awareness and I did all this, is this enough? So I wonder how some of you are helping, you know, the districts, you know, for this choice board, we're lucky, it's our BOCES, we can really see it. But what are some of the key talking points or suggestions for the district who feel like they've done everything we've suggested and they don't know if it's enough?
I mean, this is Jess from OCM BOCES, and how we've used the roadmaps is in our math and literacy leadership groups, and we give districts time in district teams to discuss and evaluate where they are and where their next moves are, and then we facilitate a regional discussion around where is everyone, where are we feeling comfortable, and where are we feeling struggles, and what can we do to better support the region wherever there's struggles.
So Jess, those regional, those district teams, who's in those discussions?
So in all of our content area leadership networks, we ask districts, you know, so we get the majority of our districts, usually 22 or 21 out of 23 come. In some cases, we get more than our 23 components. And districts send teams that have K-12 teacher leaders and an administrator or two. So it varies a little bit depending on size of district, right? So our bigger districts will send maybe content area coaches and not as many teachers. You know, so it varies, but there's teachers, teacher leaders, and administrators.
Okay. Has anybody tried using the curriculum alignment tool that we put out there? Has anybody had any luck with that? I've used it with a couple of districts to kind of get the conversation going. I'm just curious if anybody else has had some success with that.
This is Kristen at Steady BOCES. Sorry, my technology's been a real issue, so I hope I don't pop out on you. But we are not at a point regionally where they're really looking at curriculum, to be honest with you. So we're still, you know, like everybody, raising awareness, capacity building. One of the issues that we've been dealing with is that each of our components is sort of in a different place. So some have done some parts of professional development linked to what you would term raise awareness. Some are moving into building capacity. And so hosting large regional events has become a struggle because while people want to come, everybody wants to get something different out of it because they're all in a different place. So then they say, oh, I already did this. And then we have a group that says, well, I haven't done it at all. So this month, my team met and we sort of developed a new plan going forward. We actually created a menu of items, which actually looks like a menu you'd get at a restaurant for math and ELA. We're also going to be doing it for our SEL work. And in the menu is basically professional development options. So just like you would give kids choices, we're giving administration choices. And we're actually looking to target more building administration. We're sharing it obviously with district leadership, but building leadership, because we've also found out that within a district, every building could be in a different place. So what does your building need? And by giving them a menu of options, it's also allowing us to have a conversation with those administrators about long-term planning. So when we talk about taking a look at their curriculum and actually seeing if it aligns, that's probably summer work. And so now when we're starting to build budgets, they need to be planning for what is it going to look like this summer. So if we did all of this professional development during the year and we prepared ourselves for looking at their curriculum in the summer, we feel like it would be a better flow. The purpose of it is really, it's going to be building by building professional development. We're going to go into buildings. My people are going to deliver it. One of the other things we deal with, and we've talked about, is sub issues. So I've asked my staff to break it into 45-minute chunks. And so they could be in the building all day and teachers could rotate through so they could move subs around the building. And we may do that repeatedly. So we've presented this to district leadership, and they were really excited about this option because it meets their needs with subs. It allows building principals to have some ownership, and it gets us through the roadmap in a way that is doable.
Is that something that, Kristen, you'd be willing to share? Like, could I talk to some of your folks and at least show that menu and put that out there so people can kind of see what you're thinking?
Absolutely. My math one's done. My ELA one will be done in the next week. And our plan is to start when we go back to school in January. And I've already had administration calling my math person and saying, okay, I want to consider, you know, how can I fit this in? What days work for us? So yeah, I can share that with you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Mike, this is Jess from OCM. We are hoping in our spring leadership meetings to have that curriculum alignment be what we do there. We haven't yet decided on which tool we're going to use because I do know that the state put out the one for ELA. So just so you know, we're not quite there yet, but we will be there by the end of the year.
And I would say, Jess, as you're going through that decision-making process, if you end up going with the state tool, it would be cool to capture some of, whatever you guys wrap around that to then share with other people. Whether it's, I don't know if you're going to develop resources or protocols or, whatever. I think that would be work that I'm sure other people would appreciate not having to duplicate.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of our things we already put online available for everyone as well. So it's always up there.
Cool.
This is Julie at Jefferson Lewis Boise. Hi, everybody. What we are doing is, I think we're stuck in a raising awareness right now with our districts as far as the roadmap and then moving forward. We've been sharing the roadmap for a very long time at our principals meetings. Similar to many of you, we have elementary, then middle, then high school meetings. So we're sharing that roadmap, telling them where they should be, what areas they should be focusing on, and offering to reach out to us with any assistance they may need. And then as far as the curriculum rubric, we've handed that out this week, actually. We're at a high school principal meeting right now, and we're handing that out to each of the administrators that's in attendance, and also adding that to our regional Schoology pages for each of those groups. And kind of just planting the seed at this point and outlining what categories you've built into that rubric for them to be considering, and then having them look across and say, like, really, where are you? And recommending that they have a meeting at their administrative meeting about what does that look like and where are you. As far as reaching out for curriculum and to teachers, we have our regional network meetings for each of the core content areas, art, music. In addition to that, we have several others, but the core areas that we're talking about today, we've continued to look at, diving down into the standards at a pace that doesn't seem overwhelming for the teachers when they attend. And we've just started having administrators attend those from one district as well as assistant superintendent. So that's been really great, and I'm hoping that sets the stage for more involvement from district admin level to come to those meetings, because our goal is to give those teacher leaders activities to take back to faculty meetings. And that's what we're seeing. So I guess the next jump is, how do we get raised awareness that we can administrators into more of that capacity building and focusing on what needs to be done, rather than just saying, here's the rubric, where are you, and let's help you.
So, Julie, can you say a little bit more about what's kind of going on at those meetings where, I don't know if it was the ones where you've been talking about the rubric, or the ones where, you're trying to get the central office folks involved too. What are you actually doing?
Sure. Well, our principal meetings are quarterly, and that is a catch-up of everything that's going on. And it's just like other issues. We have a hard time having administrators stay for a long time because they want to be back in their buildings and their schedules are so full. But they're here from 9 to 11:30 quarterly, broken into the 3 levels. And, we have an update from our department. We have, once in a while, we'll have a curriculum. Like, I've done a science to them to show them what a science lesson might look like. And we've talked about math. So we have little snippets of information, and then say, we get in more depth at our network meetings for the core content areas. And you're more than welcome to attend those. Typically, they end up sending teacher leaders or coaches to those and asking it to be turnkey. We are in the works of starting a principals network, and part of the plan of that is going to be using the rubric, to be giving them opportunity to really say, this is where your staff is at it. If you're sending them to our network meetings, this is what we have been doing. So we always provide an update as to where we are in the network meetings at the principal meeting, but there needs to be some more of that. So we're in the talks of starting principal network meetings and seeing where that leads us, so that we can have more of a hands-on approach to helping the administration get into the capacity building. And Kristen, you had stated, we're not really at the curriculum point yet, but the teachers are. The teachers, when we're in networks, and I'm right with you with the administrators, they're like, well, we're not jumping on a new curriculum. We're not there yet. Slow down. but teachers are saying, well, what we've got really doesn't match what we're doing, and we need to make changes. So I have to sometimes quell those conversations when we're in network meetings, because that's where they want to head, and that's not our goal to drive that decision right now.
Right.
Until administration has a better understanding. So I'm with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, I don't hate to put you on the spot, but since I'm kind of in your neighborhood over here, do you get and you have very different components too from a lot of folks around the state. Do you have any sense of where they are generally in terms of using the roadmap?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what some of the other people have said, we have literacy and math leadership groups that convene, and on that team, it's representatives from each of the districts. And throughout that, we've been looking at the roadmap, talking about where everybody is. We've also been using some of the resources from, the SUDN statewide partnerships at those meetings. And really, our districts, as you know, Mike, are really independent in terms of how they like to go about rolling out standards and things like that, but they are using the roadmap. I mean, I know if you go through the roadmap and you think of the things that have been suggested, I know that they've had, timeline meetings with each of their stakeholders. They are digging into their curriculum and making sure it's aligned. And so they've kind of, they're in both camps in terms of raising awareness and capacity building. They've assessed kind of where they are with professional development and what their needs are moving forward. So, I mean, they're definitely using the roadmap to kind of guide some of their work, but they do most of it independently.
Thank you. And as I anticipated, is there, as you folks have been kind of interacting with districts and leadership from districts, are there things that are emerging that are missing? Like, if only we had X, or gee, I wish we really had this particular resource, or are there things that you get a sense that people are either struggling to find or create where we might be able to put some energy in that direction? Or is it all still so kind of new and awareness building that they're not even there yet?
Well, primarily a lot of my work that I do is with the teacher subgroup, and it seems like they're just still trying to wrap their head, primarily elementary, trying to wrap their head around how everything's going to fit together and how to make it fit into their structures and schedules. And in our principals meeting yesterday, that was a big conversation also for middle school about, what does our scheduling look like? How are we going to make sure that we are implementing with fidelity, and that, do we do block scheduling, all of those conversations. So it seems to be heading back to the old, conversation that always comes up of time and scheduling. And I don't know if that's something we can assist with other than outside of just continuing providing them with the information and the direction of where to go. That's kind of what I feel on that right now, that continuing to raise awareness and providing time to collaborate across districts with what are you doing as far as lesson plans, and looking at betterlesson.com and, all the resources that are out there, and just saying, what does this look like from a teacher point of view? And then having them say, do the administrators know how much time we're going to need to get this ready? I'm like, yes, they do. So that's a constant conversation that we come back to. So that's where we're at right now. So when I continue to work with them, I try to give them strategies of, combining literacy and science, or literacy and math, and what would that look like? And then it gets into the conversations about curriculum. We're kind of all over the board with that too in the region. Some have stuck with modules, some have not, for ELA specifically I'm talking. Some are still doing with fidelity, some are not. Even buildings are different, like you said, Kristen, like one building's doing this and the other building's doing that. So as think it's going to bring to a head a conversation about curriculum and what that's going to look like, and making sure there's continuity between the district buildings. And, you know, we can guide those conversations. I guess where I'm at right now, I can guide those, but as far as the decision making, that's going to be a district level piece that, you know, we can only provide information on. So as far as resources that we can develop right now, I'm kind of stuck on that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I would imagine other folks are in similar places when it comes to that because, right, everybody is pretty much everywhere. So I have a couple things that I'm going to follow up on for sure. Kristen, I'm going to reach out to you separately to talk about that menu that you developed. And Jess, if it's okay with you, I'm going to see if I can connect with you a little bit on some of the stuff that you guys have up on your website to see if that how we might be able to share some of that. Is there anything else that folks have that you think well, you don't have to say it now, but if you do have tools or resources particularly related to the roadmap or in this awareness phase that you think would be helpful for other people to have or to learn about, let me know. And now that we have kind of a proof of concept of this interview and post format, I think it should work. I'm interested to see what people think, with the idea that we can get as much up here as possible and in as unobtrusive a way to your folks as we possibly can. So I want to be sensitive to your time too. I know we had it on the books for an hour, but I think as we put a recorded version of this up here, I think probably a half hour is going to be the sweet spot for anything that anyone might even consider listening to. So anything else for the good of the order before we sign off? Mm-hmm. So our next topic, the next one we have is around leadership groups and structures, which we started to get into today, which I think is, you know, at the core of a lot of our work is how do we bring people together to do this work. So hopefully folks can come next time with some ideas related to that, but with the understanding that everybody's region is different and everybody's components are different, but there are some strategies that certainly transcend those differences. So thank you, everybody. It was I appreciate you coming on this morning.